If you want to go everywhere, do everything, know everyone, be well-rounded. If you didn't make time for focused thinking, set goals, remove distractions, develop your dream or discover your gift, so you will never be rich, you will never take a single step towards wealth. Being willing to give up some of the things you love in order to focus on what has the greatest impact isn't an easy lesson to learn, but the earlier you embrace it, the sooner you can dedicate yourself to excellence in what matters most. In this video, engage in focused thinking from How Successful People Think book by the great author, speaker, and pastor John C. Maxwell. I promise you great pleasure, knowledge, and benefit, with story of a country without onions in the end. Welcome to Rebook Channel, a channel that will help you learn skills from authors and speakers, international personalities, to step towards success and wealth in your life. If you are interested, honor me by subscribing. Let's get started. Engage in focused thinking. He did each thing as if he did nothing else. Spoken of novelist Charles Dickens. Focused thinking refers to the ability to concentrate on a specific task or idea for an extended period of time. It involves actively directing your attention and mental resources towards a particular problem or goal and excluding distractions or irrelevant information. Engaging in focused thinking can help you to better understand and solve complex problems, make more informed decisions, and improve your productivity. Philosopher Bertrand Russell once asserted, "To be able to concentrate for a considerable time is essential to difficult achievement." Sociologist Robert Lind observed that knowledge is power only if a man knows what facts are not to bother about. Focused thinking removes distractions and mental clutter so that you can concentrate on an issue and think with clarity. Focused thinking can do several things for you. 1. Focused thinking harnesses energy toward a desired goal. Focus can greatly enhance any task, whether it be physical or mental. For example, if you are trying to improve your curveball while learning to pitch a baseball, focusing your attention on the technique during practice will enhance your results. Similarly, if you are looking to improve the manufacturing process of your product, focused thinking can help you identify the most efficient method. Additionally, when faced with a challenging mathematical problem, focused thinking enables you to find the solution. The more challenging the task, the more time and focus is required to complete it. Is the ability to direct one's attention and mental energy towards a specific goal or task. It allows an individual to ignore distractions and other irrelevant information and instead concentrate on the task at hand. By harnessing the energy of one's mind towards a desired goal, focused thinking enables an individual to achieve a level of productivity and efficiency that may not be possible through scattered or unfocused thinking. Additionally, it allows for better problem solving, decision making, and overall understanding of the task. 2. Focused thinking gives ideas time to develop. I enjoy discovering and nurturing new ideas. I often gather my creative team for brainstorming and idea generation sessions. Initially, we aim to be as inclusive as possible in our thinking to generate as many ideas as we can. The potential for breakthrough ideas often arises from the collective sharing of many good ideas. However, to take our ideas to the next level, we shift from being expansive in our thinking to being more selective. I have learned that a good idea can become a great idea when given the time and focus it needs. It can be frustrating to spend days focusing on a single idea only to find that it cannot be improved upon. But sometimes my persistence and focused thinking pays off, and that brings me great satisfaction. Furthermore, when focused thinking is at its best, not only does the idea grow, but so do I. Is the ability to concentrate on a specific task or idea for an extended period of time. When it comes to developing ideas, it is important because it gives those ideas the time they need to mature and take shape. By giving an idea the time and attention it needs, an individual can explore its potential, identify any flaws or areas that need improvement, and build on its strengths. This can lead to a more fully formed and well-developed idea, which is more likely to be successful. 3. Focused thinking brings clarity to the target. I consider golf one of my favorite hobbies. It's a wonderfully challenging game. I like it because the objectives are so clear. Professor William Mobley of the University of South Carolina made the following observation about golf. One of the most important things about golf is the presence of clear goals. You see the pins, you know the par. It's neither too easy nor unattainable. You know your average score, and there are competitive goals, competitive with par, with yourself and others. These goals give you something to shoot at. In work, as in golf, goals motivate. One time on the golf course, I followed a golfer who neglected to put the pin back in the hole after he putted. Because I could not see my target, I couldn't focus properly. My focus quickly turned to frustration and to poor play. To be a good golfer, a person needs to focus on a clear target. The same is true in thinking. Focus helps you to know the goal and to achieve it. 4. Focused thinking will take you to the next level. No one achieves greatness by becoming a generalist. You don't hone a skill by diluting your attention to its development. The only way to get to the next level is to focus. No matter whether your goal is to increase your level of play, sharpen your business plan, improve your bottom line, develop your subordinates, or solve personal problems, you need to focus. Author Harriet Overstreet observed, "The immature mind hops from one thing to another. The mature mind seeks to follow through." Where should you focus your thinking? Does every area of your life deserve dedicated, focused thinking time? Of course, the answer is no. Be selective, not exhaustive, in your focused thinking. For me, that means dedicating in-depth thinking time to 4 areas: leadership, creativity, communication, and intentional networking. Your choices will probably differ from mine. Here are a few suggestions to help you figure them out. Identify your priorities. First, take into account your priorities for yourself, your family, and your team. Author, consultant, and award-winning thinker Edward de Bono quipped, "A conclusion is the place where you get tired of thinking." Unfortunately, many people land on priorities based on where they run out of steam. You certainly don't want to do that, nor do you want to let others set your agenda. There are many ways to determine priorities. If you know yourself well, begin by focusing on your strengths, the things that make best use of your skills and God-given talents. You might also focus on what brings the highest return and reward. Do what you enjoy most and do best. You could use the 80/20 rule. Give 80% of your effort to the top 20% most important activities. Another way is to focus on exceptional opportunities that promise a huge return. It comes down to this: give your attention to the areas that bear fruit. It refers to the process of determining which tasks, goals, or responsibilities are most important to an individual or organization. It involves evaluating the relative importance of different items on a to-do list, project, or agenda and determining which ones need to be given the most attention and resources. This can help to ensure that time, energy, and resources are being used in the most efficient and effective way. When identifying priorities, it's important to consider the urgency, importance, and the potential impact of each task. It's also important to consider any dependencies, deadlines, or other external factors that might affect the priority of a task. Once priorities are identified, it is easier to focus on the most important tasks first and make sure that they are completed before moving on to less important tasks. This helps to ensure that the most important goals are achieved while also managing time and resources effectively. Discover your gifts. Not all people are self-aware and have a good handle on their own skills, gifts, and talents. They are a little like the comic strip character Charlie Brown. One day after striking out in a baseball game, he says, "Rats, I'll never be a big league player. I just don't have it. All my life I've dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but I'll never make it." To which Lucy replies, "Charlie Brown, you're thinking too far ahead. What you need to do is set more immediate goals for yourself." For a moment, Charlie Brown sees a ray of hope. "Immediate goals," he says. "Yes," answers Lucy. "Start with the next inning. When you go out to pitch, see if you can walk out to the mound without falling down." I've met many individuals who grew up in a household full of Lucys. They received little encouragement or affirmation, and as a result seem at a loss for direction. If you have that kind of background, you need to work extra hard to figure out what your gifts are. Take a personality profile such as DISC or Myers-Briggs. Interview positive friends and family members to to see where they think you shine. Spend some time reflecting on past successes. If you're going to focus your thinking in your areas of strength, you need to know what they are. Discovering one's gifts refers to the process of identifying and recognizing one's unique abilities, talents, and strengths. It is the act of identifying what one is naturally good at and what comes easily to them. These gifts can be in the form of a natural aptitude for a particular subject, a talent for a specific skill or activity, or an innate ability to communicate or connect with others. It can be a lifelong process, and it can involve self-reflection, seeking feedback from others, experimenting with different activities and skills, and pursuing new opportunities. It may be something that comes naturally or something that needs to be developed through consistent practice and hard work. It may also be something that one is passionate about and enjoys doing. Once a person discovers their gifts, they can use them to their advantage and make the most of their talents and abilities. They can use their gifts to pursue their passions and set themselves up for success in their chosen career or profession. It can also bring fulfillment and satisfaction in their personal life. Additionally, it can help to build self-confidence, self-esteem, and a sense of purpose. Develop your dream. If you want to achieve great things, you need to have a great dream. If you're not sure of your dream, use your focused thinking time to help you discover it. If your thinking has returned to a particular area time after time, you may be able to discover your dream there. Give it more focused time and see what happens. Once you find your dream, move forward without second guessing. Take the advice of Satchel Paige, don't look back. Something might be gaining on you. The younger you are, the more likely you will give your attention to many things. That's good, because if you're young, you're still getting to know yourself, your strengths and weaknesses. If you focus your thinking on only one thing and your aspirations change, then you've wasted your best mental energy. As you get older and more experienced, the need to focus becomes more critical. The farther and higher you go, the more focused you can be and need to be. Developing one's dream refers to the process of turning a vision or idea into a concrete plan of action. It involves setting specific, measurable goals and creating a roadmap for achieving them and identifying the resources and support needed. It also includes assessing the potential challenges and obstacles that might arise and developing strategies to overcome them and gaining the knowledge and skills needed to achieve the dream. It's an ongoing process that requires continuous effort and adaptation, and it can help an individual to turn their aspirations into reality and work towards a future that aligns with their values, passions, and goals. How can you stay focused? Once you have a handle on what you should think about, you must decide how to better focus on it. Here are 5 suggestions to help you with the process. 1. Remove distractions. Removing distractions is no small matter in our current culture, but it's critical. How do you do it? First, by maintaining the discipline of practicing your priorities. Don't do easy things first, or hard things first, or urgent things first. Do first things first, the activities that give you the highest return. In that way, you keep the distractions to a minimum. Second, insulate yourself from distractions. I found that I need blocks of time to think without interruptions. I've mastered the art of making myself unavailable when necessary and going off to my thinking place so that I can work without interruptions. Because of my responsibilities as founder of 3 companies, however, I am always aware of the tension between my need to remain accessible to others as a leader and my need to withdraw from them to think. The best way to resolve the tension is to understand the value of both activities. Walking slowly through the crowd allows me to connect with people and know their needs. Withdrawing from the crowd allows me to think of ways to add value to them. My advice to you is to place value on and give attention to both. If you naturally withdraw, then make sure to get out among people more often. If you're always on the go and rarely withdraw for thinking time, then remove yourself periodically so that you can unleash the potential of focused thinking. And wherever you are, be there. 2. Make time for focused thinking. Once you have a place to think, you need the time to think. Because of the fast pace of our culture, people tend to multitask. But that's not always a good idea. Switching from task to task can cost you up to 40% efficiency. According to researchers, if you're trying to accomplish many things at the same time, you'll get more done by focusing on one task at a time, not by switching constantly from one task to another. 2 years ago, I realized that my best thinking time occurs in the morning. Whenever possible, I reserve my mornings for thinking and writing. One way to gain time for focused thinking is to impose upon yourself a rule that one company implemented. Don't allow yourself to look at email until after 10 a.m. Instead, focus your energies on your number one priority. Put non-productive time wasters on hold so that you can create thinking time for yourself. 3. Keep items of focus before you. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great transcendental thinker, believed concentration is the secret of strength in politics, in war, in trade, in short, in all management of human affairs. To help me concentrate on the things that matter, I work to keep important items before me. One way is to ask my assistant, Linda Eggers, to keep bringing it up, asking me about it, giving me additional information in reference to it. I'll also keep a file or a page on my desk so that I see it every day as I work. That strategy has successfully helped me for 30 years to stimulate and sharpen ideas. If you've never done it, I recommend that you try it. I'll tell you more about it in the section on reflective thinking. Keeping items of focus before you refers to the practice of keeping the most important tasks or goals in mind so that they remain a priority and receive the necessary attention and resources. It's about maintaining visibility and awareness of what matters most so that you can stay focused on the most important things and not get sidetracked by less important tasks or distractions. 4. Set goals. I believe that setting clear goals is crucial for directing focus and achieving success. Without specific objectives, the mind may wander and lack direction. However, it's important to remember that the primary purpose of goals is to guide attention and provide direction, not to determine a final outcome. When considering your goals, it's essential to ensure they are specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, and set within a specified time frame. Note that they should be clear enough to be kept in focus, close enough to be achieved, helpful enough to change lives. Those guidelines will get you going. And be sure to write down your goals. If they're not written, I can almost guarantee that they're not focused enough. And if you really want to make sure they're focused, take the advice of David Belasco, who says, if you can't write your idea on the back of my business card, you don't have a clear idea. Even if you look back years from now and think your goals were too small, they will have served their purpose if they provide you with direction. 5. Question your progress. Take a good look at yourself from time to see whether you are actually making progress. That is the most accurate measure of whether you are making the best use of focused thinking. Ask yourself, am I seeing a return for my investment of focused thinking time? Is what I am doing getting me closer to my goals? Am I headed in a direction that helps me to fulfill my commitments, maintain my priorities, and realize my dreams? Questioning your progress refers to the practice of regularly evaluating how well you are progressing towards your goals and objectives. It involves taking a step back and analyzing the progress that has been made, identifying any areas of improvement, and making any necessary adjustments to the plan of action. It can be done by regularly monitoring your progress, comparing it to your original plan, and noting any discrepancies. It can also include seeking feedback from others and reflecting on your own performance. This practice can help to ensure that you stay on track, make adjustments as necessary, and ultimately achieve your goals. What are you giving up to go up? No one can go to the highest level and remain a generalist. My dad used to say, find the one thing you do well and don't do anything else. I found that to do well at a few things, I have had to give up many things. As I worked on this chapter, I spent some time reflecting on the kinds of things I've given up. Here are the main ones. I can't know everyone. I love people and I'm outgoing. Put me into a room full of people and I feel energized. So it goes against my grain to restrict myself from spending time with lots of people. To compensate for that, I've done a couple of things. First, I've chosen a strong inner circle of people. They not only provide tremendous professional help, but they also make life's journey much more pleasant. Second, I ask certain friends to catch me up on what's happening in the lives of other friends. I usually do that when I'm traveling and can't block out the time I would need for focused thinking. I can't do everything. There are only a few exceptional opportunities in any person's lifetime. That's why I strive for excellence in a few things rather than a good performance in many. That's cost me. Because of my workload, I also have to skip doing many things that I would love to do. For example, every week I hand off projects that I think would be fun to do myself. I practice the 10-80-10 principle with the people to whom I'm delegating a task. I help with the first 10% by casting vision, laying down parameters, providing resources, and giving encouragement. Then once they've done the middle 80%, I come alongside them again and help them take whatever it is the rest of the way, if I can. I call it putting the cherry on top. I can't go everywhere. Every conference speaker and author has to travel a lot. Before I began doing much speaking, that seemed like a glamorous life. But after logging several million miles, I know what kind of a toll it can take. Ironically, I still love traveling for pleasure with my wife, Margaret. It's one of our great joys. She and I could take 10 vacations a year and enjoy every one of them. Yet we can't, because so much of my time is consumed doing what I was called to do, help people to grow personally and to develop as leaders. I can't be well-rounded. Being focused also keeps me from being well-rounded. I tell people 99% of everything in life I don't need to know about. I try to focus on the 1% that gives the highest return. And of the remaining 99, Margaret keeps me aware of whatever I need to know. It's one of the ways I keep from getting totally out of balance in my life. Being willing to give up some of the things you love in order to focus on what has the greatest impact isn't an easy lesson to learn. But the earlier you embrace it, the sooner you can dedicate yourself to excellence in what matters most. Story part. Lessons from this story. To be successful in business, you have to know what your customers value, want, and need. What is their pain and what they are willing to give you to relieve them of that pain. Do not be like the trader was in the story and assume. People have different values and beliefs. This story is a great example of how those can change. Once upon a time, there lived a young man named Alexander who was looking to take charge of his life and become a successful businessman. While he was exploring what business he could start doing to support his family, he met a very well-traveled man. The older man told Alexander great tales of his travels, and then he talked about a country that had no onions. No onions, exclaimed Alexander. In all his life, he had never heard of such a thing. How can anyone enjoy the true pleasure of food without onions? Without any further thoughts, he bought onions, filled his cart, and set his journey towards this whimsical land of no onions. After several days, he arrived in the country without onions. He quickly made his way to the palace where the guards were fascinated enough by the weird cargo that they allowed him to meet the king. "I bring you a great gift from my country," Alexander proudly announced. "The plant is native to my place but new to yours. It has the unique ability to enhance the flavor of any food. It will be great if I could offer you this magnificent plant which you can introduce to your people." The emperor was skeptical at first about the weird plant, but he decided to allow Alexander to prepare some delicacies using the onions. Alexander was under a lot of pressure and had to use all his culinary skills to prepare the best feast they ever had in this country using the onions. All the empire's ministers, the nobility, and senior officials were invited to the dinner that night. After the young man did the initial tasting, the feast commenced. Everyone in the room started eating the food. It didn't take long for the hall to become noisy because of all the excitement. The smell and the taste of the food was praised by all. The king thanked Alexander and demanded the entire batch of onions and paid him its weight in gold. In his journey back home, Alexander met a trader. He shared his magnificent story about the country. For hours that night, Alexander recounted the splendor and magnificence he had seen in that faraway land where gold was worth less than onions. He also told the trader that he learned that the country did not have garlic. The trader was excited to learn that and thought he could replicate the success of the young man by introducing garlic to the country. Garlic is infinitely more tasty and aromatic. If they were giving gold for onions there, he could expect diamonds for garlic, the trader thought. With that in mind, the enterprising trader bought huge bags of garlic and started his journey to the country without garlic, while the whole trip thinking about the riches he was sure to receive. Since the land was recently overjoyed by the introduction of the onions, they were more open to the idea of trying his garlic. The royal guards took the man with the new herbs to the king. The king asked him to prepare a feast using garlic. The trader was very excited and made several tasty dishes using garlic. As he had expected, the garlic received even more praises than the onions. The emperor discussed with his ministers for a long time about the reward for their noble guest who introduced them with the garlic. After some discussion, they all agreed that the gold was not enough for such delicious food, so they decided to reward him with the most precious thing they had to offer. What can be more precious than gold? Onions. That night the trader returned home with bags full of onions. We will complete the explanation of the chapters in the next video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will become rich one day. And I promise to help you and give you everything you need to be able to walk the path of wealth. But be ready.